The question I've been asking myself is, how do I sneak more beans into more recipes? This is a vegan penne pasta with pink sauce and beans, but you probably wouldn't know.
No, I'm not talking that pink sauce that everybody was going bananas about earlier this year. This is like an Italian pink sauce. When I was growing up in Youngstown, there was a restaurant that we used to go to, Paul's Family Restaurant, and as a kid, I would always get penne pasta with pink sauce and a little bit of basil over top, which essentially all it is just a chunky marinara with some like nice fresh tomatoes with some cream and mixed in, so it came out pink. Ever since watching that Netflix documentary about the blue zones, I have been trying to sneak beans into everything. So I thought, why not make that pink sauce using butter beans?
So here we go. We're gonna drain and rinse our butter beans and set them aside because first we need to get our sauce going. I'm gonna be using San Marzano tomatoes for this sauce, but honestly, you can use just the jarred sauce or whatever you like to make for your sauce if you wanna do this quicker. But I like my sauce, so I'm just gonna start by roughly chopping half of an onion, and I'm actually gonna divide that into two because we're gonna need the other half for something else, along with 5 large, and I mean really large cloves of garlic. Same thing, chop that up, divide those into half. Then I'm just gonna toss a Dutch oven, or you could use a saucepan, on the stove over a medium-low heat, and I'm gonna add some olive oil once it kind of gets a little warm. Now, once that's hot, I'm gonna toss in half of my onion, let those go translucent, probably more than what I liked. And I'm gonna add a big pinch of salt and then toss in half of that garlic. Now, I'm gonna let that cook even longer than what I wanted because I'm not paying attention. I'm gonna add my whole can of San Marzano tomatoes. Now, I want this to be kind of a watery sauce, so I'm gonna keep cooking down and adding water, but I'm gonna start by filling that entire can with filtered water from the fridge and tossing that right into the pot and stirring. Now, I want this to come back up to a simmer and then let this cook for at least an hour, which is plenty of time for me to tell you about today's sponsor.
I've used BetterHelp for almost 2 years, and it's made an incredible difference in my life. I get a lot of anxiety, stress, worry, and concern, like I'm sure a lot of you do. My therapist has given me a lot of tips and tricks to get through those times, and honestly, it's helped quite a bit. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in this world and is going through a hard time, therapy can give you tools to approach your life in a very different way. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible, and this is a really important mission because finding a good therapist can be hard, especially when you're limited to the options only in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's incredibly easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. So there's a link in my description below, betterhelp.com/Saucestache. Click that link and get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and see if therapy helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't fit with your therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. When I first tried BetterHelp, I didn't click with my first therapist, and I switched, and I'm so glad I did because 2 years later, I'm still working with Natalie. She's still helping me out. She's been fantastic. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description below. That's betterhelp.com/Saucestache. Thank you again to BetterHelp for such an incredible service and for always supporting my mental health and this channel.
Okay, we're back. So the sauce is still simmering, so let's figure out how to add some beans in here. Now, I'm thinking about making a bean sauce, similar to what I did in the mac and cheese sauce made out of chickpeas. So to start, I'm gonna add the rest of the onions and garlic to the blender along with our butter beans. I'm using these beans because they're high in protein and because they're very smooth, like butter. Now, I'm going to pulse this and then slowly add some cold water, about a half a cup at first and then pulse. Now, I want this to be pretty thick like a cheese sauce, but thinner than this right here. And I wanted to give it like a dairy kind of taste, a little slight acidity. So I'm gonna be using some lactic acid. Now, if you don't have this, you could definitely just squeeze in a little lemon juice, but I'm gonna be using about a 1/4 teaspoon of this lactic acid. This is lactic acid, not lactose. This doesn't come from milk. It actually comes from fermenting sugar beets. Look it up. Lactic acid is in lots of things, even sauerkraut. Now we're just gonna add a bit more water, around a 1/4 cup, and then blend. That's it. This is our cream sauce. I'm pretty happy with this. It looks pretty good. I like the texture, and the flavor is very nice and garlicky and oniony. It's a nice spot-on sauce that I'm looking for here. Now at this point, the red sauce is looking really good. I'm going to get a large pot of heavily salted water boiling, toss in our penne, and boil to the instructed time, because honestly, just follow the directions on the package here. Now once this is done, I'm gonna mix in my bean cream sauce, and yeah, and this is our pink sauce. I mean, this looks pretty good. So I drained my pasta, leaving in some of that starchy water, and I made the mistake thinking that I was gonna have more sauce than penne, so I started spooning the sauce over the pasta, but quickly realized that was a mistake, and we had a fairly even amount, so I just kind of tossed it all in together and then started to plate. Now we just needed some fresh basil on this, and I used this in the past, grated lupini beans. They have a fantastic taste to them. I think they're kind of savory, maybe a little salty, kind of a bit cheesy if I'm gonna say, but really it's just adding more beans in. So this is it. I think it looks pretty amazing, but let's see what Monica has to say.
Can't wait to eat this. This looks awesome.
Have you ever had pink sauce?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is awesome.
That came out really good. Actually,
Delicious.
better than what I expected. Okay, so give them your thing, baby.
Okay. It's really nice and savory. It's a very light creamy sauce. It's got a tomato-based flavor. I love the like garlic and basil aftertaste, and it's just very smooth and delicious and feels filling. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait to eat more of it.
Yeah, I mean, it does have like a really nice creamy taste to it. There is, I mean, are you getting any bean taste? Not
really.
Bean taste, but like maybe like the texture a little bit?
Not even really that much.
No, there is something there.
Like, if I didn't know, I would never guess that there was beans making this. I don't really taste a weird aftertaste or anything. It just tastes like a creams, like a...
No, the taste is good. It's the texture of the sauce.
Okay, a little bit of a texture, yeah. Almost like, I don't want to say like, almost like a little chalky, like slightly chalky, but it's like barely there. Like, it's really good.
There is a little bit of a chalkiness to it, but the taste, texture, everything, I am stoked by this.
Me too.
Super stoked.
Super excited.
This came out delicious.